You don't have to go to college.
89.7 KRUI.
Hey, this is Phil from Alpine, and you're listening to KRUI, Iowa City, your sound alternative.
There is only one of us here. We are all joined in spirit, not separate but unified. What you do to others, you literally do to yourself. Hello, Iowa City. You're listening to KRUI. It's 89.7 FM on your radio, KRUI.FM, streaming online. My name is Justin Comer. I am hosting this show for the next hour. It's called iHearIC Radio. It's about local music and local art and local musicians and local artists and anybody else who wants to be involved. It's a creative world, and you are welcome. I have a guest with me today, and I have a wonderful bio prepared here. I didn't prepare it, but it's prepared in front of me. I'm going to read it now. Emily Wheeler is a master's student at the University of Iowa, where she studies voice and opera. While at Iowa, she also served as a graduate assistant in the voice department and maintained a studio of non-music major undergraduate students. She received her bachelor's degree from Millikan University in Decatur, Illinois. In addition to her work in classical music, Emily has an extensive background in musical theater and contemporary music. Most recently, Emily has shared the stage with Kristen Chenoweth in her New Year's Eve performance at Hampshire, toured Iowa this past Christmas with Jim McDonough's Holiday Grand?
Yeah,
all right. Holiday Grand as a singer and dancer, and played Mother in Ragtime at the American Gothic Performing Arts Festival last June. Future engagements include singing with the New Horizons Band this summer and covering Meg in Verdi's Falstaff with Lawrence Opera Theater this August. Welcome to the show, Emily Wheeler.
Thanks, Justin.
We had you play at our May concert at Uptown Bill's.
Yeah, that was the first time I ever played guitar and sang in front of people.
Oh, I don't think I knew that at the time. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And before we got on the air here, I went through your bio to make sure I could pronounce everything, and I didn't think to check the word grand.
You know, when I first saw the advertisement for auditions for that show, I thought it was Holiday Grande.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because it's spelled Grande.
It's spelled
so
Grande.
I was thinking, this is a... You know, they're singing Feliz Navidad, I guess.
It sounds like the new Starbucks drink around December.
The Holiday Grande, yeah. So I invited you here to, talk about your life as a singer, what you've got going on soon and what you've been doing the past few years, whatever. And just to get to know each other a little better with a bunch of people listening to us.
Yeah, sure.
And I don't want
pressure.
I don't want this to be a super formal interviewee thing. So feel free to steer the conversation wherever you want to go.
Sure.
You can ask me questions if you want. You can bring up any sort of subject that you'd like.
What did you eat for breakfast this morning?
I had a bowl of Raisin Bran Crunch.
Oh, that's a unique choice.
Oh, is it?
But I do like it.
What did you have?
I bought some focaccia bread from Trader Joe's last night. It's brand new. It's really tasty. And I ate that for breakfast, and a banana and turkey jerky.
Nice. Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, I stopped being a vegetarian.
Sounds like
last
it,
yeah.
week. How long were you a vegetarian?
I tried being vegetarian for about 3 months, and I just found that I could not support my body's need for nutrients on the budget that I have right now.
Sure.
So it was a hard choice, but I've reintroduced white meats.
Okay. I mean, you're doing what you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. So let's go back as far as possible. What's the first memory you have of performing music?
Maybe not performing, but my first musical memory is my grandmother sitting me down at the piano, and she would do this with all of our siblings. And she would take our finger and put it on the C, and she would have us sing middle C with her. And it wasn't until 12 years after that, so maybe around age 15 or 16 that I realized she gave us all perfect/relative pitch.
Yeah, that's nice.
It was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was she doing that intentionally?
I think she was trying just to show us where middle C was on the piano.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if she knew, but I'm so grateful. Thank you, Grandy.
Yeah, that's nice. I've never like tried to have perfect pitch, you know, but every time I've had like the opportunity to like think a pitch and then play it, I tend to be like a step or like a minor third flat.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like,
that's still
I'm
really
like pretty
close.
close.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
You know, the neuroplasticity of a mid-20s person is not as good as like, you know, that of a 1 to 6 year old.
Sure,
but I think
sure.
if you worked on it like every day,
Yeah.
you would get there.
I think I'm technically late 20s, by the way. But
Okay.
thank you. I have the appearance of a man 3 years younger than myself. So when did you start, you know, I guess performing, like publicly, like singing or playing music
Yeah.
where people could hear you?
Well, I always knew that I wanted to sing because my whole family made music, either as children, like my dad and his siblings all took lessons as kids, and his mom, my grandmother, toured as a performer and was a really well-known singer in the Springfield, Illinois area, but also did theater at the equity level in Milwaukee and wanted to take it further, but she had 5 kids to take care of. So from a young age, music was always around in our house, and it
You
was
got
always
it in the family, yeah.
encouraged. And I wanted to be just like my aunts and my grandmother, who were all performers. And so I joined the church choir. I was raised Catholic, and I joined the church choir as soon as I was able to in 3rd grade.
Yeah, that tends to be a lot of people's first, you know, group is the church stuff. It's where I got a lot of my fundamental, I guess, performance experience.
Yeah,
too.
did you sing?
Yeah, I was in church choir, and
wow.
I think around the same age, like 8 years old or so.
Yeah, so did you sing like alto?
I don't know. I think I was, you know, a high tenor before my voice changed.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I was singing pretty much all the time until like college.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Why did you stop?
Well, I got kind of tired of going to rehearsal.
Sure.
In
Yeah.
like my junior or senior year of college, and then I kind of let go of that. And I don't think I've been in a choir since then.
Would you
I didn't do it in
rejoin
grad
one
school
if you
or
had
anything.
the opportunity?
I don't know. I don't really feel that drive anymore,
Yeah.
I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. It was more just like part of the whole package to me. Like, I'm a musician, so I'll just be in every ensemble that I have time for.
I totally get
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you are not only a singer. You mentioned that you played guitar with us, but you also play banjo, right?
Yeah. So
I haven't seen that, but we've talked about it before.
yeah, unfortunately, right after I moved to Iowa City, my 5th string tuning peg broke, and so I didn't have an instrument to practice on, and so I just kind of stopped playing. And hopefully that's not a forever thing, because I really do love it. I feel really connected to that instrument. But my instrumental journey started really early. In 4th grade, I started playing flute and trombone. I was taking separate lessons, and I was
Flute
always
and
in
trombone. That's a great pair.
It was a weird pair. I have an aunt who played trombone, or an aunt who played flute, and an uncle who played trombone, and I wanted to be just like both of them.
Nice.
So my uncle lent me one of his old trombones, and I learned how to play both. And
That's
it was
great.
really cool.
It's nice that you had so many people to emulate,
Yeah,
and they all did different things.
I feel really lucky for that.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, my dad has a mess of siblings, and they're all creative and gifted in the arts.
So do you still play flute and trombone at all?
You know, I brought my flute back to campus because I really wanted to toy around with playing jazz flute on like jazz singing gigs. But I've just been farting around on it. Like, I haven't done any real theoretical work.
Well, that's more than I can do. I've never mastered the flute embouchure. I don't know. It just escapes me.
Yeah, I'm not one to really instruct, but what I know is that you just kind of have to frown a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, so you just have to look sad. Maybe look
Like
a
in your
sad French
daily life,
person.
or while you're trying to play?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got to work on it. Yeah.
So I played instruments all the way up until undergrad, and that's when I was encouraged by my teachers and my family to focus on singing entirely.
Oh, okay.
And so instead of quitting instruments entirely, I just stopped playing my wind instruments. And that's when I picked up mandolin because I started listening to Punch Brothers and I really wanted to be like Chris Thile. And then playing mandolin led me to being in a bluegrass band, which led me to being interested in learning how to flat pick on guitar and learning how to play banjo. So it's just been a fun adventure being okay at lots of instruments.
Yeah.
Not good at any of them.
Okay, so let's rank them, and let's go through every instrument you know how to play. So what's the top? or if you want, you can start with what's your worst instrument?
Okay. My worst instrument would absolutely be mandolin.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that seems to be one that you like a lot.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's so hard to be good at mandolin.
Yeah. I've played a little mandolin. Like
Yeah.
I don't, I've never performed on it, I don't think, but it's tuned the same as a violin from what I remember. What's difficult about it to you?
To me, so the thing that's most associated with mandolin right now in the current musical climate we're in is like fast licks and like really interesting harmonic changes and lots of harmony. And
you got to play those like really quick scale figures.
Yeah, exactly. And I haven't had the brain capacity while studying classical singing to give to it. And I haven't taken the time to really learn those things. So when I try to do them, I end up getting frustrated.
Yeah.
As opposed to taking the time to like really woodshed on them. What's your worst instrument?
Oh boy. Let's see. What have I played? I mean, I've had to double on clarinet a lot as a woodwind player, and I don't like it. Like I don't generally like playing clarinet.
Why is that?
It's just like, okay, so my first woodwind instrument was saxophone, and I love playing saxophone. And clarinet is like, it's so close to saxophone, but there's just like these little subtle differences that I get confused. And there's like an extra mental step while I'm playing clarinet.
Yeah.
Like I've got to remember the fingering changes because the octave key is actually an octave and a fifth rather than just being a straight octave like a saxophone. So I'm doing this like weird mathematical thinking in my head while I'm playing the notes.
Yeah, that sounds a lot like...
It's a little more stressful.
Speaking another language, I'm picking up German right now.
Yeah. It's like translating, Yeah,
exactly.
Just like
and sometimes I'll translate... when I was learning Italian, I would translate into the second language I learned, which is Spanish. I would translate into Spanish and then to Italian. So it kind of sounds like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That and the embouchure is like a little tighter. At least that's how I play it. And I've gotten better at it over the years, but I still think that's probably the one I struggle with the most because it's very stressful for me to like be performing on clarinet. I haven't had to do it in over a year, so I guess I'm lucky.
Definitely.
I do like bass clarinet better though. I think just aesthetically it sounds better.
And you really...
So I get more out of it.
You really prefer your baritone saxophone, right?
Yeah, mostly. Okay. I play the lower saxes, yeah.
That's really interesting.
I guess.
As a singer, I'm really interested in what makes vocal sounds appealing to different people and to my students, and what parts of their hearing limit why they like higher sounds or lower sounds. So I'm just in my head pondering like what things lead you to liking lower sounds and like what in your childhood or like what in your environment has created that aesthetic.
I feel like we can talk more about that, but I need to play a PSA real quick.
That's fine.
So if you give us 50 seconds, we'll listen to this PSA and maybe we can come up with more to speak on that subject.
Absolutely.
Okay, here we go.
According to Bundle.com, the average utility bill for Iowans is $183 per month. I agree that seems a bit high. Green Iowa AmeriCorps is here to help by offering free home audits and weatherizations if you're a veteran, low-income household, or disabled. Green Iowa AmeriCorps is a nonprofit organization helping to make Iowans more energy efficient through low-impact home weatherizations, energy education, and community outreach. For more information or to sign up for your free audit, call us at 319-784-2735, email us at greeniowacr@gmail.com, or find us on the web at www.greeniowaamericorps.org.
All right, we're back. It's iHearIC Radio. I'm Justin. I'm here with Emily. So, Emily, you're finishing up your master's right now, correct?
Next week.
Next week.
Yep.
What's next week?
On Saturday, I give my master's recital, which caps off my time here at Iowa. And then 2 days later, I take my final German exam. And then if I pass both, I will be a master.
Nice. So your recital is on the 27th, right?
Yep.
And what time does that start?
It'll be so Saturday the 27th at 1:30 p.m. in Voxman Music Building in the Red Recital Hall.
Great. And what are you performing at that recital?
It's a big mix of music. So I'm starting with a set of French songs by Rossini, believe it or not, Fauré, Rossini and Fauré. And then I'll move on to a set of nihilistic songs from the 1930s, which are in English.
Wow, that sounds
and
depressing.
They're goofy.
Really?
They're goofy nihilism, if you can imagine it.
Cool.
And I love those.
So this is sort of like a post-World War I kind of attitude? Or
Yep, it is. It's really a post-World War I attitude.
That sounds great.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the composer here. His name's Simon Sardon or Sargon or something like that. And I stumbled upon this collection when I was looking for some Fauré in the library. And I fell in love with it. And when I brought it to my teacher, she didn't know what to do with it because she had never seen it or heard it before. And it's unlike anything else I'm performing.
Nice.
It's a nice break in the pace. Yeah.
And what else? What's after that?
Then we'll take an intermission because I have to set up the stage for a set of 10 songs by William Blake. Well, the poetry is by William Blake, and the settings are by Ralph Vaughan Williams, and it's for oboe and voice, and it's all in English as well, and the poetic texts are a really interesting mix of two periods of William Blake's life, of a more enlightened period and then a more disengaged, and there's a word I'm trying to think of. He's just completely unfazed by life and kind of over it. There's a word for that.
First one that comes to my mind is detached.
Yeah, he's
that might
detached.
be wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll think of the word later. Yeah. And then I'll do a set of some Italian pieces. I'll do 2 Mozarts, and I'll do a Spanish song by Rossini. So Rossini, if some of you may know, is an Italian composer.
Right.
But I chose only Rossini songs that are in...
You said French and Spanish,
not
right?
Italian, yeah, French and Spanish. And then I'll close off the recital with a set of German songs by Schubert and Schumann, and some musical theater.
Oh, musical theater.
Yeah.
What musical theater selections?
Specifically, just one song, just to end the recital. It'll be a harkening back to my time playing Mother in Ragtime.
Great.
Yeah.
Which I mentioned when I read your bio.
Yeah, that's right. Shout out to the people who've been here the whole time.
That's right. If you listen to the first 15 minutes, you may have heard a reference to that. So I know that you prepared some music to perform today.
Yeah. So
Would you like to give us one selection now?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So in this set of Ralph Vaughan Williams pieces that are for voice and oboe, there are 3 selections that are just for voice. And so...
By the way, I think voice and oboe is an interesting pair as well.
It is. So most interestingly, this set of songs was composed for tenor and oboe. And so one of my questions on my master's comps, which are these long questions that master's students have to answer.
Yeah, anyone that hasn't been a graduate student before, it's sort of a big test that you have to do near the end of your degree, usually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And master's students here have to do 3 of them.
Yep.
Is that still the case?
Yeah, it's still 3. The whole week's kind of a...
If you're getting a doctorate, it's usually 5.
Correct. So I was doing research on these pieces for one of my comps questions, and they were initially composed for tenor and oboe. And as I was writing about performing them as a soprano, now mezzo, but soprano at the time, it occurred to me that the range that the instrument and the voice would have been in would have had an octave difference if a tenor was performing them. And so Jenna Seamon, my oboist, and I have really worked on differentiating our timbres enough and being close enough to completely accurate with pitch, because we are on the same notes. We don't have an octave separating us in these. And that's the most interesting part about performing it as a female singer, because I'm in her octave as an oboe player rather than the octave below.
That is interesting. Yeah, that it's going to turn out different than the original because of that. Did she consider playing an octave higher? for the entire piece?
Probably not.
I assume it's written.
If you want to see an oboist pass out.
Yeah, I assume it's already written pretty idiomatically for the oboe. So
Correct.
yeah.
What does idiomatic mean?
It's sort of like, something that works well on that instrument. The composer knows how the instrument works, so what they composed fits
Sure.
that instrument.
Thank you.
And something an octave higher would probably not.
No. No. Yeah, so I'll start with The Shepherd, which comes about halfway through the piece, and it comes from the part of the texts that are from Blake's Enlightened period.
Great. Do you mind if I take a picture while you're singing?
Sure, that's fine.
Thanks.
How sweet is the shepherd's sweet lot, from the morn to the evening he strays. He shall follow his sheep all the day, and his tongue shall be filled with praise. For he hears the lamb's innocent call, and he hears the ewes' tender reply. He is watchful while they are in peace, for they know when the shepherd is nigh.
That was The Shepherd, text by William Blake, music by Rafe Vaughan Williams.
Correct.
Testing my short-term memory there.
And that
was Emily Wheeler performing that. And you can hear her perform it again this coming Saturday at 1:30.
At 1:30.
Right, at Voxman in the Red Recital Room.
Correct.
Man, I'm testing my short-term memory all day today.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was very nice. How long have you been, practicing this, working on this piece?
Jenna came to me with the idea to perform it on her recital about February, I think. And we performed them in April. Maybe the end of March. I don't know. The entire last semester is a complete blur.
Sure.
But I've been working on them since at least February.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. So you've already performed this once.
Yes.
So now you get a second crack at it.
Yeah, which will be even better because, most musicians know you can rehearse and rehearse and rehearse, but you have so many more notes for yourself after the first performance than you would after even a dress rehearsal.
Yeah, definitely. It's a different kind of practice, I guess.
Yeah.
Doing it in front of people Have you performed it in the space that you're using on Saturday?
Yeah. Yeah.
That makes a difference too.
It's a huge advantage. Yeah. Things sounded really different in her office and even in the nice chamber recital halls that we have than they did in the space. So we only got to perform it once before we did her recital when we did her dress rehearsal.
Yeah. There was something you said while you were talking about one of the pieces, I don't remember. You said something about soprano then, mezzo now? What was
right.
that?
So my entire grad career has been centered around figuring out whether or not I would settle towards more of a soprano or a mezzo range in my next journey, which will be searching for young artist programs and auditioning my butt off in order to get a start for myself as a singer. And my teacher and I were challenging me to explore soprano repertoire. And so I was getting comfortable with the label and trying to really embody being a soprano in my practice. And after a month off and after revisiting material for this recital, it has really come to be natural to me and to her and to my sound to fit into a lower Fach, which is the mezzo.
A lower what?
Area. Fach, which is like the German word for like a separate cubby, like a cubby.
Okay,
so it's
cool.
My hole.
Yeah.
My foxhole.
I'm somewhat ignorant of these terms, but I know a little bit.
Happy to educate.
Yeah. So basically, you were thinking of yourself in a higher range, but over the course of your masters, you've gravitated down a little bit.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for those who are not super familiar, what's a general soprano range?
Sopranos tend to sing from C or E, like C on the bottom of the staff in the treble clef, to E up to B flat or C6.
Okay. It's C4 to B flat 6. Is that what you said?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Or C6.
Okay, great. And a mezzo is how much lower?
A mezzo is about a third lower.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not a huge difference. The the main difference is where your tessitura is and where the majority of your notes lay.
Right. It's about like where the melody's being written.
Exactly. So
for
soprano,
most of the piece. Yeah.
soprano repertoire is up on F5 and G5 and E5 for a lot of the bulk of the melodies that they're singing. And those notes, for me, are right in my passaggio, which is where the voice breaks. Voice cracking is a really, really natural, commonly experienced thing. And so
definitely.
the bulk of a singer's journey is figuring out how to get around those with beauty. And so for me, soprano repertoire really just sits in a spot that takes a lot of work. And so if my music can sit more around C, D, E, then I'm much more comfortable and more able to express as a singer.
If you're not so focused on, not cracking over that break, then you can work on the real stuff, the music.
I feel like my brow was always furrowed singing soprano repertoire, and I can smile a little.
Just always focused on hitting the notes, So what, you mentioned a little bit about your future.
Yeah.
What are your plans? What are your plans that you want to share on the radio?
So the day after I do my recital, I'm moving home with all my stuff. And then 2 days after that, I pack up and I go to Lawrence, Kansas to be a part of the Lawrence Opera Theater program, which I'm really excited about. I get to work with Ugo Vera, who has sung at the Met, and a few of my best friends are going down to the program. So it won't just be a great educational experience. It'll also be a lot of fun. So it'll be kind of like a singer's vacation.
Nice. Have you been to Lawrence before?
Just for the audition.
Nice.
I was there for a total of 1 hour, and I saw a car explode.
Whoa.
So, yeah, I'm hoping for a bit of a calmer experience.
Yeah. Do you know what happened? Why did it explode?
It's kind of sad.
Yeah?
A car flipped over the rail of an overpass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was really intense.
That is
So that's my only memory of Lawrence right now, and I'm hoping to make new ones.
It sounds like you'll have a better time this time.
And then after that, I'm headed home to hang out with my family. All of my grandparents are in Springfield, Illinois, and my parents and my sister's nearby, and my brother is there for at least a little bit. And grad school has really limited my ability to hang out with them, and I adore my family, so I want to hang out with them. And then after that, I have plans to move to the East Coast. Cool. And audition.
I got to do a weather report real quick.
Let's do it.
Okay, so it's 3:30 p.m. on a Sunday. It's cloudy. I'm looking out the window. It's not that cloudy, but weather.com says cloudy. That's what this counts as.
We'll call it partly cloudy.
Yeah, I think we can call that. Temperature is currently 79 degrees Fahrenheit. Feels like 82 degrees Fahrenheit. Much better than the last few days have been. We've got 0% chance of precipitation and 69% humidity. 9-mile-per-hour winds coming from the north-northeast. This has been the Weather Report. Thank you for listening.
You ever considered becoming a meteorologist?
I have not, but the extent of my experience with reporting the weather is just reading the weather off of weather.com into a microphone, which I think I'm qualified for. I think
you are too.
I've done it, nearly every week for a year and a half, so I think I'm nailing it on that one.
I agree.
Yeah. So what's on the East Coast? Anything specific, or just
a lot
the
more
possibility of having a career?
Yeah, just a lot more opportunities. This past semester, I traveled to the East Coast twice for 2 separate parts of an audition, and it's a big financial undertaking. And while it might be more expensive to live on the East Coast permanently, I'll spend a lot less in travel getting to these auditions. So instead of having to plan 2 months in advance for an audition in New York, I could plan that morning.
Yeah, that's
to
nice.
be there.
Yeah. So how many of those auditions have you done already?
I've been out there to audition twice now. And I'm really excited to get my feet wet and do more.
Yeah.
And hear a lot of no's.
Anything you want to share about those experiences? That's something that I'm not familiar with at all.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
So I guess the first part is realizing that even though you're in New York City, my hotel was in Manhattan, just a few blocks from Times Square.
Yeah.
I had an audition in the morning. So I was in the hustle and bustle of Broadway and Times Square, and there were so many things I could be doing, but I had to stay focused. And that part was a real challenge. I called my dad and I said, hey, I think I'm going to go see Lion King. And he was like, you're not. You are here to sing. And that's it. You can come back and go see that. And so that was hard, but people in New York were a lot nicer than what most people in the Midwest are told of New Yorkers.
Yeah.
The girls that I was auditioning with, I made friends with immediately. And some of them I talk to still today, like after just sitting in a holding tank for 3 hours together. They're some of my closest friends I made. So
nice.
It was amazing to have that.
Yeah. So I don't know how specific you can be, but this is a situation where you're auditioning with other people.
Yeah.
So what kind of, thing was this?
So this audition in particular was for the Navy Sea Chanters, which is the Navy choir. And so I guess it would be a little bit different than like a cattle call for a Broadway audition or any other equity production. But we were sat in a holding tank while they called us up one by one to sing in another room. So we weren't singing in front of each other, which was nice. But yeah.
Yeah, so you just got to know each other being locked in a room together for hours.
That nervous chatter, where you'll go crazy if you're silent, but you also don't want to give away too much about yourself to complete strangers.
Sure. Yeah, I know how that goes. So it was all business.
Yeah.
Didn't really get to have fun in New York.
Right. I did eat New York pizza though.
Yeah. It's people hold that up on a pedestal, I think.
Yeah. Why?
I don't know. I had some New York pizza. I've only been there once.
Maybe I picked a crap spot. You've been once? What did you do in New York?
I was there to perform with a dance production. Some people from the university here.
Were you dancing?
I was not dancing. I was playing music. Wow, I can't even remember the specifics now. This was, I think, like fall 2015. I was there with my friend Jason Palomara. He's a violinist and composer. We've done a lot of work together. I believe we were performing one of his pieces.
Okay, cool.
He did this music and dance thing as his thesis when he was getting his PhD here. And I'm pretty sure that's what we performed out in New York. But it's been a long time and I don't remember.
Were you guys in a theater in New York or were you on the street?
It was inside a building. Couldn't tell you more specifically than that. I know we were in Brooklyn.
Awesome.
Yeah. I think I had pizza twice while I was there.
Awesome.
I was there for maybe 4 or 5 days.
Yeah, God, I wish I'd been there for that long.
You were just kind of in and out.
I was in and out. Yeah. I flew in one day and I flew out the next day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we stayed in somebody's apartment. It was an Airbnb thing.
That's nice.
They had like a big Chinese dragon head on the top of their fridge. Like you see in a parade.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's super weird.
That was cool, yeah.
I want more of that in my life.
They had a clawfoot bathtub.
Did you use it?
I took a shower, yeah.
Okay. But bathing's good.
Yeah, I had to take a couple of those while I was there.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? Like within 5 minutes of being in New York, I was walking past like some garbage, that somebody had brought their trash out on the street, and a rat jumped out at me.
No.
Yeah. That was like right away.
That's fiction.
That was a New York experience for me.
Incredible.
Right away. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you said you've had 2 auditions out there?
One in New York and one in DC, both for the same thing. So
the Navy
the second round, the second round was in DC.
Got it.
And the DC thing was exactly the same. I came in, I did my audition, I ate at a restaurant that night, and then I flew out the next morning.
Mm-hmm. So you didn't see much of DC?
No, but I did see the Pentagon.
Oh, yeah?
I flew over the Pentagon.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never been to DC. That's something... I don't really have that much desire to go, but I would.
Beautiful.
I should probably see it at some point.
They take such good care of that city. Mm-hmm. I would recommend it to anyone who has a little bit of money to spend on their vacation.
Which I don't.
It's kind of expensive there.
Maybe someday.
Yeah, we're musicians.
Yeah.
Well,
where did you eat in DC?
Where did I eat in DC? It was a kind of like a Subway, but only for salads. It was called Chopped.
Okay.
Nothing.
That sounds
fancy.
okay.
Yeah, nothing special.
Yeah.
It was fun though.
So we've talked a little bit about the future, a little bit about the present, and a little about the past, but I think we should get more past in this
Get more past?
discussion.
Okay, cool, yeah.
Yeah. I think you have like somewhat of a bluegrass background, right?
Yeah.
Which we haven't talked about too much yet.
Sure, I would be happy to expand on that.
Yeah, tell me about what you've done in the field of bluegrass music.
Well, my first introduction to bluegrass was from a friend of mine. I was in a musical theater show with, we were in Big River, and he said, hey, why don't you check out Nickel Creek? And this is kind of silly because...
I know about those guys.
Yeah. At the time, MySpace was trying to reinvent itself, and they released MySpace 2.0. So...
When was this? Just for a timeline.
This was 2010, it was either 2010 or 2011.
Okay, so like the very twilight of MySpace. They were
Exactly.
dying for sure.
And I mean, the second generation platform was gorgeous, but people just weren't sold on it.
I don't
Facebook
even know what
took over.
you're talking about. Yeah.
But I had a friend who was really into getting it started again.
Nice.
She's really goofy. So I got on, and that was the first place that I looked up Nickel Creek, and that's also where I found out that they had broken up. And so I had fallen in love with their music already, and then I found out that they were no longer existing. I think they broke up in the mid 2000s, like 2004
I don't really know.
to 6. And then I started researching the individual members and seeing what they were up to. And I ran into Chris Thiele, and
who you mentioned as your mandolin,
God,
inspiration. Yeah.
God's a more appropriate term.
Okay, sure.
Mandolin God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Worship at the throne.
And I fell in love with their music. The first thing that I heard was Movement 3 of The Blind Leading the Blind, which is a 45-minute string quintet for bluegrass instruments.
Okay, that sounds great.
That was this like almost failure project for the Punch Brothers that I later learned because no one knew how to receive it.
Yeah.
Like bluegrass fans were like, we don't understand this.
That sounds awesome though.
Yeah, Chris Thiele was going through a really rough time in his life when he composed it. He had like just gone through a divorce, and so it's really dripping with emotion, and I fell in love with it immediately because it's equal parts just instrumental and him singing and the gorgeous harmonies that band makes. And so I fell in love immediately, and that Christmas I asked my parents for a mandolin. So they got me my first mandolin. It's an Ibanez. It's like mahogany.
Nice.
Colored. It's not mahogany. But I love it, and I still have it, and it's one of my prized possessions just because it meant so much to me. And when I was choosing an undergrad institution, I was looking to study classical music, but I found out that Millikan University also had a bluegrass band.
Oh, okay.
So I went gung-ho for Millikan, and I got in, and I loved it, and I joined the bluegrass band immediately, and I met some of my very best friends to this day in that ensemble. So I played with this band, which was actually a course that I got credit for 4 years.
Nice.
And 4 or 5 of us had been in it like 2 years before I got there, and then stayed. So we had this group that had been together for like 4 to 6 years by the end of my time there. And watching people come and go and watching us grow as not only players, but also people who are learning how to communicate and create as a group was a really beautiful thing. And eventually we started getting paid gigs, and we would tour, and we went up to the Old Town School of Folk Music in Chicago and clinicked up there. And I got to do a lot more with that band than I ever expected.
Yeah, that seems like it would be a very beneficial thing for music schools to do. Like have just bands like that as a
totally.
school. Like you get credit for being in this.
Exactly.
Because you learn a lot from just like having a small ensemble to yourself, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Millikan has a lot of that going on. They have a mess of a cappella groups in addition to their incredible choirs, but they also have a phenomenal commercial music and music business program with a thriving recording studio and recording studio arts program. And so there are constantly new bands forming and creating there and performing in one of the 3 bars that you can get to on campus.
Nice.
Yeah.
And that's in Decatur, right?
Decatur, Illinois. Yep.
Yeah. That sounds great. What else have you done with bluegrass since then?
Yeah. So we recorded a few failed albums, but we have one where the recordings were pretty good. We just haven't compiled it yet. And then after that...
So by failed, you mean these are not public releases?
They're not public, yeah. They're failed as in like...
Not commercial
We
failures,
recorded and then we lost the files. We recorded
Audacity,
not Audacity, but I don't even remember the name of the program, but the files got corrupted. And then our final project actually went really well.
Right.
Since then, I came straight from undergrad to grad school. So
I guess it hasn't been that long since you were in the group. Yeah.
Like I said, I towed my bluegrass instruments with me, but my banjo broke immediately.
Right.
But I did get to play mandolin with the symphony orchestra this past September on a Mahler piece, and that was not something I ever expected I'd get to do.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
Actually, I think I saw your Facebook post about that or something.
Yeah.
That is pretty exciting.
A cool experience.
Not everyone knows that Mahler wrote a mandolin part.
Yeah, Das Lied von der Erde has 2 movements that require mandolin, and thank God it was easy.
Yeah.
Shortly,
I think you mentioned earlier that that's your worst instrument.
Yes.
Right?
Shortly thereafter, the head of the Center for New Music approached me to do Gnarly Buttons by John Adams.
Yes, yeah.
I took one look at that sheet music and I passed it off to a violin player. Yep.
Yeah. That would be our friend David Gomper, right?
Yeah. I'm sorry, Gomper, but the performance went well. I watched.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's totally fine that you backed out because it would not have gone as well, right? With you on that part. I've never looked at the sheet music for that. Can you describe the mandolin part to me from your memories?
It's like a lot of ants on a lot of railroads. It's just black dots everywhere and lots of accidentals, so many accidentals. And like as someone who learned mandolin by rote and not by reading sheet music, it was a challenge to even get through the first 4 measures and have them under my fingers and also know what I was looking at without having it transcribed to like tablature.
Sure.
Yeah.
And when you were in this group at Milliken, you were mostly singing and playing banjo.
I was singing and playing mandolin.
You were playing mandolin then.
But we had so many players that I often never had to take a front seat as an instrumentalist.
Great.
I was mostly a lead singer or a harmonizer.
Nice.
Which I love. Yeah.
Well, I got to play a Grant spot real quick. And I believe you have another piece of music that you could perform. Is
I would
that right?
love to. Yeah.
Okay, so let's listen to a quick Grant spot about Little Village, and then you can perform again. Sound good?
Sounds great.
Awesome.
Support for KRUI is provided by Little Village. Little Village is Iowa City's independent, community-supported news and culture publication. Little Village's event calendar connects readers with critical cultural opportunities. Through journalism, essays, and events, Little Village works to improve our community according to core values: affordability and access, economic and labor justice, environmental sustainability, racial justice, gender equity, quality healthcare, quality education, and critical culture. Little Village can be found in print editions at local businesses in Iowa City, as well as online at littlevillagemag.com.
Welcome back to iHearIC Radio. This is the last 15 minutes or so of our show today. I'm Justin. I'm here with Emily Wheeler, and she's going to sing for us again. What do you have for us this time?
This is Vaughan Williams, The Divine Image from 10 Blake Songs. To mercy, pity, peace, and love, all pray in their distress, and to these virtues of delight return their thankfulness. For mercy, pity, peace, and love is God our Father dear, and mercy, pity, peace, and love is man his child and care. For mercy has a human heart, pity a human face, and love the human form divine, and peace the human dress. Then every man of every clime that prays in his distress, praise to the human form divine, love, mercy, pity, peace, and all must love the human form in heathen, Turk, or Jew, where mercy, love, and pity dwell, there God is dwelling too.
That was Emily Wheeler performing text by William Blake, music by Ray Vaughan Williams. You said
The Divine Image.
Divine Image. I liked how it switched to major right there at the end.
Yeah, me too.
It's sort of like a Picardy phrase.
It is a Picardy phrase. That's funny. Yeah, so this is also from Blake's enlightened era when he was less disenchanted, is the word I was looking for.
Okay.
Less disenchanted by the world. So Blake grew up right around the American Revolution. He saw a lot of war and bloodshed, and then right after the French Revolution. And these two collections, songs of, I can't remember, they come right before, the Enlightened one comes right before the French Revolution. The Disenchanted one comes right after. And so
there's a lot of death in between those.
Yes, so much death. And it was, fought on their shores. So it was even closer to home for him geographically and metaphorically.
Sure.
And Vaughan Williams, you heard two songs from the Enlightened period, and they're happier sounding and more melodious and sweeter. But the other songs have a lot more chromatic issues in them, and they sound crunchier with more complex rhythms.
Yeah,
and
there's some turmoil in there.
Exactly. And Vaughan Williams does an amazing job representing those feelings of the text in the music, which is a total joy to work on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you'll be performing all 10 of those, right?
I'll be performing
Oh, sorry.
7.
Okay,
we'll be performing
majority.
7 of them, yeah. There's time constraints on a master's recital,
Yeah,
so we had
of
to
course.
cut some fat.
Yeah, if you listen to earlier in the show, Emily listed a whole bunch of music she'll be performing. So it's not that she's incapable of performing all 10, but she's got to make room for the rest
We'll
of it.
just say that that's the case.
I'm certain you could do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that recital is this Saturday, the 27th, 1:30 p.m. at Boxman Music Hall in the Red Recital Room.
Correct.
Yeah.
Open to the public. It's going to be a hoot. You can meet my family.
I'd be there if I wasn't in Chicago. Sorry. Got to go out of town for a couple days.
It's fine.
Well, I got to hear a little bit of it here at least.
Yeah, it'll be recorded as well and broadcasted via Facebook Live and probably Stream Seat. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we're in the last, 10 minutes or so of today's show. Aside from your recital, do you have anything else that you would like to bring to light for the listeners?
God, if there's anyone from Iowa City listening, I just want to say thanks for being a great home for me for 2 years. I leave in a week, and driving around the city feels kind of surreal right now because I can't believe that I won't be living here every day come next week, because I've really grown to love the life of this city. When I moved here, I made it my aim to not just be a student here, but to really get involved in what's happening in the city. And I have loved getting involved with iHearIC and all of the music events here, but also all of our political events and all of the good works that are going on to help people here in Iowa City. So
Yeah. How many presidential candidates have you seen in
3
person?
so far.
Okay.
Justin
I was thinking
and I-
it was more, actually.
we ran into each other at the Bernie.
Yeah, at the
Event.
Ice Cream Social a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. How many have you seen so far?
I think just 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got the impression that you had been seeing everyone you could.
That everyone I have could have seen so far. Could.
Yeah.
When this surprise recital date came up,
Oh, yeah.
I kind of
I
had
bet
to
that
slow
took up
my
some of your
train.
time, yeah.
Yeah, I was so close to seeing Julian and Julian. Is that his name?
Castro?
Castro. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah. It just felt wrong for a minute. And Marion Williamson, but I had to say no to serve the music. I hate what I just said.
Serve the music.
Yeah.
No, I mean, you do, though.
But that's-
you're sort of obligated right now to serve the music.
It's an amazing advantage of being in Iowa right now, though, is because every candidate comes through.
Yeah, some people see it as an advantage. Some people see it as a nuisance.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't bother me. But there are times where, right now we've got 25 Democrats running for the nomination.
And they keep coming.
And there are times when they are all in Cedar Rapids on the same day, which causes some traffic issues for some people. And, a lot of people don't care and don't want to see them and don't think they should be around.
Right. It's just so different to see
annoying,
someone live, though, than to hear their sound bites.
Yeah.
My impression of Bernie changed wildly. Not to get
really?
too political on a music radio hour, but
if you want to talk about it, we can.
yeah, his youth was so much more evident seeing him in person.
Yeah. His spiritual youth. Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, he is old, but
Yeah. No,
but he's got tons of energy.
and
I'll be totally transparent with the audience right now. I will be caucusing for Bernie Sanders.
heck yeah. That's something I'm most sad about. I thought that maybe I would
you're not
stay in
gonna be able
Iowa
to do that.
I don't think I'll be able to caucus. So maybe in the future I'll move back. But this would be an exciting caucus to be a part of because there are 25 Democratic candidates.
Yeah.
It's too many.
Yeah, so you weren't here in 2016, so you've probably never experienced like a caucus.
Yeah, can you tell me about it?
It's pretty insane. It's kind of a bad way to do it, in my opinion. It's like everyone just gets in a room at the same time, and you know like you stand where your candidate's supporters are standing. It's a very physical event. Like where you're located in the room is where you are placing your support. In 2016, it wasn't too bad because there were 2.5 candidates at the time.
Right.
At my caucus, I think O'Malley had like 5 people there, which was, hey, good for him.
Yeah.
Although he dropped out like that night in the middle in the middle of the proceedings, which was a little frustrating.
So what happened to those people?
Well, so the way it works is we had like 200 something people in Coralville City Hall, which is not really big enough to hold 200
really?
people at the
I've never
same
been
time. Yeah. And your candidate has to have at least 15% of the people in the room to be viable to even have one delegate at the end of the night. And if your candidate does not, you can either pledge your support to another candidate who has enough to be viable, or you can just leave if you want. So I think they all came to Bernie at mine.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
Sure.
I can't imagine what the pictures of this year's caucuses are going to look like.
Yeah. Depending on
are
how
cameras
many
even
candidates are
allowed?
still... Yeah. I think it's a pretty open event. It's a lot more stressful than just like filling out a ballot,
Right. It sounds like a lot of fun to an Illinoisan who just goes in and pokes a ballot and leaves.
It's like, it kind of discourages people from being involved when you have to like be there for a couple hours at least.
Yeah. So
like
you said 200 people showed up. Was that
around that? I think.
Was that a good turnout for your ward?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was big. Yeah. But yeah, it discourages, participation when you have to put in that much of your time and just like physically be in a room full of people for that long.
Yeah.
As opposed to just like Illinois primary is just you go and vote like
right.
you would in a real election. But I suppose it's an experience that's, unique.
It is unique. Yeah. One of my mentors came from Iowa at Milliken, and so that was one of the parts I was most excited to be a part of. But whatever,
yeah,
I'll live
you missed
vicariously.
it, unfortunately,
I do get to see all the candidates, though, or at least as many as I can, and that's been really cool.
I did get to see Elizabeth Warren for a few minutes.
Really?
A few months ago, yeah. She did a rally here in this building.
Oh.
Before I did the radio show, so I got to stop in there before I came up here.
What was she like?
I mean, she's good. she knows what she's talking about.
Yeah. For me, like seeing the candidates in person really comes down to whether or not they seem genuine in person. Mm-hmm. And what didn't surprise me is that Bernie seemed incredibly genuine. But when I saw Buttigieg, he felt super scripted and really disengaged. Maybe it's because we were outside. He was wearing sunglasses.
Okay. Yeah.
But I felt like I was hearing sound bites from him. And when I saw Beto O'Rourke's town hall, being in a really close, I was 5 feet away from him when he was speaking. And that felt like a very, I don't know, not trustworthy, but a super genuine experience. And so that's the part that I appreciate most about getting to see these candidates in person.
Yeah.
And in close settings.
TV or video clips.
Yeah.
Well, I think we got to wrap it up.
Okay.
So let me plug a couple things before we go. The iHearIC concert series is on break until next month. I'm currently booking the venues for that. So as soon as I've got that figured out, I will announce them. I have to go up to Cedar Rapids after this to run sound for the municipal band. If you are interested in seeing a concert band outside in Cedar Rapids, you can check out their schedule at crmuniband.org. We'll be at Beaver Park tonight and Bowman Woods Elementary on Wednesday. And if you are interested in getting involved with iHearIC, either coming on this show or performing at a concert, I set up a Google form for that. You can find that on our website. It's iHearIC.com. You'll also find links to our Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Patreon, Instagram, Bandcamp, iTunes, Google Play, Mixcloud, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and Spotify pages at the bottom of that webpage. And if you want to email us for any reason, that's fine too. It's ihearic@gmail.com. And some other events going on this week that you may be interested in. If you're listening live, there is a free generative writing workshop tonight at Public Space 1. I think it looks like the name Becca Claver will be leading that workshop tonight. It's 5:30, Public Space 1. This coming Friday, the 26th, 9 p.m. at Yacht Club, Rubber is performing with Ivory James. Rubber came on this show a few months ago. It's a duo. They're a couple really nice guys. And Clinton in the band Rubber was hit by a car the other night. So it would be very nice of you to support them on Friday.
Definitely.
Yeah, he broke his arm in 2 places.
Go, or you're not a good person, I think is what Justin is saying.
I'm not officially saying that as a representative of the radio station, but Emily is free to say so.
Cool. Yeah, I said it.
Yeah. Clinton broke his arm in 2 places, so he can't play guitar right now. So he will be singing, and in a cast, I assume. And of course, Emily's MA recital this Saturday. July 27th, 1:30 p.m., Voxman, Red Recital Room. You'll hear the 2 pieces she sang today, as well as a bunch of other ones. Any other words about that, since you're here?
I would love to have you there. Performing for people is my passion, and performing for empty seats is not as fun.
A little less passionate. Yeah. Well, I have another radio show planned for next Sunday, 28th at 3 p.m. I'm going to have Joe Norman and Jon Wilson here in the studio.
Awesome.
They'll be performing some guitar and saxophone, etc. improvisations. It should be a good time. And I'm going to close out today's show with a little bit of music. Emily, thank you so much for coming into the studio and hanging out with me for an hour.
Thanks for having me.
Really nice getting to talk to you and hearing you sing. I wish you the best at your recital. Again, sorry I can't make it.
That's
and
okay.
If I don't see you before you move, thank you for living here for 2 years.
Thank you for welcoming me into this amazing community and for being the chief of iHearIC.
Oh, I love it. So I'll do it forever.
Good.
All right. So let's hear some music, and I'll see you next week. Thanks for listening. This is the band Good Evening Gum, and this is off of an album they just released on Bandcamp called Gummer of Love Rehearsal. The song is called Buff, and you can find it at hubol.bandcamp.com. That's HUBOL. Have a good week. Here is the song Buff.
Oh, it was like check out those games. Yeah, that's.
Getting kinda buff with your new routine, eating just enough so you can clean.
Doing sit-ups.
You're getting kinda buff with your new routine, eating just enough so you get lean.
You're doing sit-ups.
Getting kinda buff with your new routine, eating just enough so you get lean. Getting kinda buff.
You know, if we keep working like this, I'm gonna have to get changed.
You're doing sit-ups.
I'm listening. Just because I'm not looking at you doesn't mean I'm not listening.
89.7 KRUI.
KRUI. Iowa City, Iowa City, Iowa City.